All right, so we are going to bring out our next animal. Now we want to stay nice and quiet when we bring out Merlin. Merlin is a macaw. He loves people. But one thing for him, we need to stay nice and quiet for him. All right? All right, so he is a blue and gold macaw. Now that is a type of bird. These guys are very cool. You can own them as pets. But before you get one, you definitely want to do your research beforehand. These guys live to be in their 80s, and they bond very well to their owners. So Merlin has a really good relationship with Janine and one of our other biologists, Jeffrey, and they bond really well. So you definitely want to do your research because you're going to have this animal for their entire life, and they actually might even outlive you. So definitely take that in consideration before you get a macaw. Now these guys pretty much just eat all sorts of nuts and seeds and fruits and things like that. Even though they're not eating a lot of really hard things, their beak is very, very strong. Look at his beak and see how curved it is. That beak can break a broomstick right in half. Now, not only is his beak really strong, but his tongue is very strong. He has a bone inside of his tongue. And that bone is going to help him break up the seeds and the hard shell of some of the nuts that he eats. So very strong mouth in general. Now you might notice he's got a very long tail. That long tail is going to help him balance in the rainforest. He, of course, flies, and he lives so high up in the trees in the rainforest that he needs to kind of balance up there. So that tail is going to help him balance pretty well. Now, even though he might not camouflage too well, even though there's lots of colors in the rainforest, he's going to live in big flocks out in the rainforest. Lots and lots of macaws, 50 to 100 at a time, and they're going to stick together and help each other out to make sure they're all nice and safe. Now, Merlin here was somebody's pet. Unfortunately, they could not take care of him anymore. We get to take care of him, so that's pretty awesome. And he's about 15 to 18 years old, so he's in his teens. Now, one last really cool thing about these guys is they're very important to the rainforest. Like I had mentioned before, they eat lots of seeds and nuts and fruits. Now, what they do is they're going to eat all of that stuff, and they're going to, swallow the seeds, even all the shells and everything. And they're going to, when they go to the bathroom, they're going to fly over the rainforest. They're going to go to the bathroom, and that's pretty much going to be like a fertilizer package. All the seeds and their poop all mixed together. It's going to be a nice fertilizer package, and it's going to drop in the rainforest. And that is called seed dispersal. So that is going to help other plants and trees and things like that all regrow in the rainforest. So it's actually really good to have these guys out there. We want to keep them nice and safe out there. All right, so we're going to, one last thing about him is he does mimicry. I forgot to mention that. So we'll see if he does again. Can you bark like a dog? Did you guys hear that? So yeah, he uses mimicry. So he doesn't have full conversations with people, but he can mimic back something that he hears all the time. So he knows his name is Merlin. He says, "Hi, Merlin," and he waves and he barks like a dog. He makes all sorts of little noises. Not full conversations, but again, he will mimic back things that we say to him all the time. So pretty cool as well. All right, so I'm going to take some questions about Merlin. So yes, at one point he could fly. His wings are clipped, so he can't fly right now, but once in a while, definitely, yes, they can fly. Over here. Okay, we can try and see if he'll say something. Hi, Mom. Say hi. So sometimes he doesn't want to speak and say hi, Merlin, or anything like that. He did bark a little bit ago, and then he waved. So it's really up to him on his preference. So we can't really make him talk if he doesn't want to talk. Did anyone hear that? He said hello. Again, it's really up to him. With that being said, when Janine puts him back, we might hear him throughout the presentation, but we just want to stay nice and quiet. We don't want to laugh or anything like that, because then he'll just keep making lots and lots of noise. And then we won't be able to, you guys might not be able to hear me when I bring up the other animals. So if you do hear him talk, we just want to still stay nice and quiet while he does that. All right, so while Janine's putting him back, I'll take some more questions. Yes? question, can he camouflage? So the rainforest does have a lot of bright colors, so it's possible for him to camouflage in a lot of the trees and stuff, but the majority of the time his colors are so bright, the camouflage isn't going to be too well. He's mostly going to use his colors just to blend in with the other macaws, and they're just going to band together for safety. So they're going to flock together and make sure they're nice and safe. Yes, pink shirt. So mostly they're just going to eat the seeds and the fruits and things like that. So nothing too crazy. They're not carnivores, so they're not going to be eating meat or anything like that. Mostly just all sorts of fruits, seeds, nuts, almonds, walnuts, things like that. In the back of the blue shirt. So yes, they're related to lots of different types of birds and parrots and parakeets and things like that. They're all in the bird family. So if you think about classifications, birds are a type of classification. So they're related to all the birds in that phylogeny. All right, so we are going to bring out another animal for you guys. This next one's name is Skittles. All right, listen. So Skittles is a Brazilian rainbow boa. Now, Janine will walk down the aisle, but remember, we don't want to stick our arms out at her, okay? Because we don't want to scare Skittles. Now, she's called a rainbow boa because when she's in the sun, she gives off an iridescence, kind of a rainbow coloration pattern to her. When she's in the shade, you're just going to see these darker colors on her, the dark browns and the blacks on her. And that's why we named her Skittles. Now she is semi-arboreal. Now arboreal, like I had mentioned before, means they live in the trees. So her being semi-arboreal means she likes to live in the trees, but she also likes to live on the ground. Now living on the ground, she'll camouflage pretty well. Because if you look at her dark coloration pattern, she's going to blend in with the dirt and the tree trunks and things like that. Now, not only does she camouflage very well, predators look at her pattern. Do you guys see all the black marks all over her body? Now, predators are going to see those black marks, and they're going to think that she has a bunch of eyes on her. Now, a predator with a bunch of eyes, or an animal with a bunch of eyes, is probably going to scare that predator, so they're probably not going to want to go near her. So her coloration pattern on her body is going to help her stay nice and safe in the wild. Now Skittles here does a lot of really cool things. She sticks out her tongue. Does anyone know what she's doing when she sticks out her tongue? In the black sweatshirt? Good job, exactly right. She's smelling. She's smelling with her tongue. So you guys are new people, it's a new environment. She wants to know what she's smelling. So what she does is she sticks out her tongue. She smells all the air particles. She's going to stick her tongue back into her mouth. And there's an organ on the roof of her mouth called a Jacobson's organ. And she's going to touch that organ. And that organ will then send a signal to her brain telling her what she is smelling. Now, do you guys all want to try and smell with your tongue? Let's all try it. So everyone stick out your tongue. Now plug your nose. Now try and smell the person next to you. Can you do it? No, you can't, right? And you could, I'd be pretty impressed. So we're totally different than a snake, right? We don't smell with our tongues, we smell with our nose. Now Skittles, she does have a nose, but she's going to use her nose for breathing, not really so much for smelling. So another really cool thing about her is she's a constrictor. So pretty much that just means she wraps around her prey, gives a nice big snake hug, that prey goes to sleep, and then she goes ahead and eats it. She's a carnivore, so she's a meat eater. She likes to eat lots of small rodents and things like that. Now I'll take some questions about her over here. Yes, in the striped shirt. That's exactly right. She can wrap around some trees if she wants. Again, she's semi-arboreal, so sometimes she likes to sit up in the branches and wrap around the branches. Sometimes she likes to coil up on the floor. It's really just their preference out in the wild. So yes, she could go in the trees as well. exactly right. Yes, it can wrap around stuff. She kind of wraps around Janine a little bit, around her arm. And they do that not even just for constricting, but also for support. She wants to be comfortable, so she might wrap around for support, kind of like she's on a branch. So yeah, she does do that. All right, actually, a quick fun fact. Does anyone know the difference between venomous and poisonous? Want to guess? All right, in the red shirt with glasses, yeah. That's okay. Anyone else want to get the difference? Yes. So our animals are not lonely. They have lots of other animals to hang out with, and they hang out with us too. Anyone about the venomous poisonous thing? Anyone the difference in the green? So not too fast. I'll just go ahead and tell you guys about the venomous and poisonous thing. All right, are you guys listening? This is a cool fun fact. So a venomous animal, so things like rattlesnakes and things like that, they have venom in their fangs, and you have to be bitten by that animal, and they inject the venom into your body. Where a poisonous animal, like a poison dart frog, it's on their skin, so you have to actually like lick them or eat them, ingest them into your body. So that's the difference between poisonous and venomous. She's not venomous in any way, so you guys do not have to worry. She's not poisonous either. None of that stuff. But cool fun fact. All right, a couple more questions in the polka dots. I'm sorry, can everyone be a little bit quiet so I can hear a question? Yeah, that's exactly right. So a lot of the rattlesnakes, they have that triangle-like head that you kind of distinguish between rattlesnakes and other snakes because of the shape of their head. That's exactly right. All right, last question right here. Star Wars show. What are her predators? It's a really good question. So these guys, bigger snakes could be their predators, mostly birds of prey. So bigger hawks, eagles, and owls and things like that are going to go after snakes like her. Again, though, she's at her center, so she has no worries about predation right now. But once in a while, lots of bigger birds of prey are mostly going to be their type of predator. All right, so we are going to move on. We still have some more animals for you guys to meet. Oh yes, all right, so is there a brave teacher out there that would like to volunteer? All right, I saw a hand for that. All right, boys and girls, go ahead and take a seat. Nice and quiet, we have our volunteer. She's going to help us show our next animal. So this is a Madagascar hissing cockroach. You want to come on over here, you can kind of show them too. So, I'm sure the majority of you think these guys are pretty gross, but I promise, after I give you guys all these fun facts, you're going to love cockroaches. Nice and quiet, boys and girls. Alright, so these guys are totally different than the cockroaches you guys might be thinking of. These cockroaches do not fly, they do not jump, they do not anything like that, so you guys don't have to worry. They are found in Madagascar, in the rainforest. They have an exoskeleton, which pretty much means they have a skeleton on the outside of their body, and that's going to help them stay nice and protected. They are arthropods, so they have those 6 legs. Their names are Frankie and Francesca, by the way. Now these guys, I call them Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and that is because they make a hissing noise. Now, they do not hiss through their mouths. They hiss through holes on the side of their body, and those holes are called spiracles. Thank you. So think all of these guys in the rainforest. If one of them hisses, it's not going to sound too scary. If one of these guys hisses, it's not going to sound very scary, very small little hiss. But if 100 or 200 cockroaches hiss, that's going to sound like a big, scary snake. Now that predator's not going to want to deal with a big, scary snake, so they're probably going to walk away. But that's going to keep these guys nice and safe, because they're just going to hiss. It's really loud. It's pretty much the only thing they can do is they can hiss. What do they eat? That's a really good question. I'm actually going to get to that right now. It's a good question. All right, so before we get to that, let's all think about the animals that live in the rainforest. You've seen some of them already, but there's another one that lives in the rainforest that we don't have, and that's monkeys. Now, there's lots of monkeys and lemurs out in the rainforest in Madagascar. Now, can someone quietly raise their hand and tell me what do monkeys like to eat? It's one of their favorite things to eat. Exactly right, bananas. Now there's a ton of monkeys in the rainforest, and that would be a ton of bananas that they're going to eat. Now just for a second, quietly, we are all going to pretend to be monkeys, but quietly, all right? So just for a second, we're all going to be monkeys. So everyone, hold your banana. You all have a banana in your hand, perfect. Now everyone, peel your banana. Now everyone, eat your banana. Now you have a banana peel. There's no trash cans in the rainforest, right? So what are you going to do with this banana peel? You're going to throw it. Good job. You're going to throw your banana peel. Perfect. Now, that is a ton of banana peels all over the floor. Probably lots of those, as well as lots of rotten fruit that has fallen on the ground, lots of poop from animals, all sorts of things on the ground. But the rainforest floor does not look dirty like that, and that is because of these guys. They clean up the rainforest floor. They're called decomposers. So you would ask what they eat. They pretty much eat everything. Everything that's on the ground. All the poop, all the rotten fruit, all the banana peels, all the old veggies, all the old leaves. Everything that falls on the ground, these Madagascar hissing cockroaches are going to just go ahead and eat it all up. So they're very important to have around. If we didn't have these guys in the rainforest anymore, the rainforest would be filthy. There would be food and all that gross stuff everywhere. We don't want that to happen. We want it to be nice and clean too. So these cockroaches are very, very good to have in the environment. All right, so a couple questions, yes. So their predators are almost anything. All sorts of lizards and snakes, and even some small mammals will eat these guys. But that's why they have the hissing, so they can stay nice and safe. They're going to be hiding under logs and things like that, so it's going to be very hard to see them. But when a predator gets close, they're all going to hiss together. So almost anything could be their predator, but that hissing is going to help them stay safe in the environment. The curly cat. All right, boys and girls, stay nice and quiet so I can hear your question. How do they hiss? So they're going to hiss through holes on their body. So not through their mouth. They have 4 holes on either side of their body called sphericals, so that's how they're going to hiss. One last question, stripe shirt. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes they're pretty small, you don't even notice that. Their coloration pattern is pretty dark. They're like kind of a dark brown and black. So sometimes, yeah, you might not even notice them. But if they hiss, obviously the predator might notice that, but they're probably going to want to run away from the hissing noise. All right, so good questions, guys. We're going to move on to our next. He might get too scared and he might try and bite Johnny. I don't want that to happen. So we'll stay nice and quiet. Alright, so raise your hand if you think Emmett is an alligator. Now raise your hand if you think Emmett is a crocodile. 50-50? Alright. Well, Emmett is an American alligator. So the main difference is their snout. If you look at his snout, it is very rounded, very U-shaped, and when he closes his mouth, you can see all of his top teeth, so it's like a very big overbite. But crocodiles, they have a very long, very narrow V-shaped snout, so it's a little bit different. Alligators normally like freshwater, and crocodiles are normally saltwater, so here in the United States, you're going to find the alligators. So So Janine will walk up and down those aisles, and remember, just nice and safe. Don't move don't put your arms out towards her. Yeah, it's just for your safety. All right, so a couple cool facts about these guys. You might notice he has a very long tail. It doesn't look too scary right now, but one day his tail is going to be massive. It's going to be all muscle. He's going to get about 12 to 15 feet one day. And imagine one with that really big tail, and he's that long. Just with his tail, he can break your femur in half. So he can break bones just with that tail. So imagine what he can do with his mouth. Now you might also notice his feet. He's got pretty sharp claws, but in between his toes, he's got webbiness. Now webbiness is going to help him swim. So he likes to be on the land and bask in the sun, get some sun, but he also likes to swim in the water. He likes to do both. Now Emmett here has very special eyes as well. Have you guys ever gone swimming in your pool and put goggles on so you can see underwater? Emmett does something kind of like that. He has a special goggle. It's called a nictitating membrane. And that goggle slides over, that lens slides over his eye so he can see underwater. That's going to help him. He also has lots of bumps on his back. Now all those bumps are called osteoderms. Now that pretty much just means he's got bony plates. So he has bone inside of his back for protection. When these guys are babies, they're a little bit more vulnerable to predators. Not so much when they're 12 feet long, but when they're babies, they're pretty active. Now he's also called ectothermic. Now that is a fancy word for cold-blooded. So that's opposite of us. We are endothermic or warm-blooded. So we are always at 98.6 degrees all the time, whether it's hot or cold outside, unless we have a fever. Then of course our fever goes out. But these guys, they are the temperature depending on what the environment they're around. So on a very hot day, he's going to be very hot, moving around, very active. On a colder day, he's going to be a little more mellow, a little more lethargic. So he's ectothermic. Now another cool thing about him is he is a carnivore, of course. So he is a meat eater, lots of meat, lots of smaller rodents for him because he's not too big yet. When he's bigger, he'll eat a little bit more bigger things. His coloration pattern is also pretty cool. It's called counter shading. So if you look at his back, it's a lot of really dark colors. But his belly is a totally different color. It's totally light. Now that's called counter shading. And it's pretty much just very good camouflage. So he is hanging out in the swampy water. Some type of animal might come up to the swampy water and see his back, but his back is so dark, it's going to look like a piece of wood floating in the water. So they're not going to notice him. And then he's going to go ahead and ambush, because he's an ambush predator. Same concept for if something is underwater. So maybe there's a fish swimming below him. They're going to look up at his belly, but his belly does not look like an alligator belly. It looks like the cloud slowly moving by, or maybe the sun glaring down on water. Again, he does such good camouflage that he can go ahead and ambush. Now, other animals that do counter shading are great white sharks. So if you think about a great white shark, they have a very light belly and a dark back. Dolphins have a light belly and a dark back, as well as penguins. All of those animals have that counter shading, and that's going to help them camouflage very well out in your environment. And Emmett here, he would use that to his advantage to go ahead and catch his prey. Now, one last fact about this guy before we do some questions. Our alligators are very good parents, which is very surprising for reptiles. Most reptiles just lay their eggs and leave their babies to defend for themselves. Alligators will take care of their babies for a couple years after they're born. What a mom alligator would do she would gather up her babies if we get scared. So if you're a baby alligator and you're scared, you're going to make a noise. It sounds like this. And the mom alligator, she's going to hear that. She's going to run over her babies. She's going to gape open her mouth really, really wide. And all those babies are going to run inside of her mouth. She does not swallow them. She uses her tongue to block her throat. But she's going to gather them inside of her mouth. And she's going to keep them there until they feel safe. She might walk away to a different area, maybe a safer area for them to be let out. Then when it's nice and safe, she'll reopen her mouth, and all those babies will run out to safety. She will also put food on her tongue, have her mouth stay open, and all those baby alligators will run up and take off little bits of food from the mom. So very good parents for reptiles. All right, so a couple questions about Emmett in the green shirt. So yes, it is a type of creature. So yes, reptile. So, all right, these guys are, in a sense, a type of lizard. It's just a giant version, I'd say, in a sense. But yes, all in the reptile family. If you look at a phylogeny, which is a really large tree where all the animals live, alligators are a branch off, as well as lizards, snakes, tortoises, etc. So in a way, they're kind of related from afar. Way in the back, yes. How long can they breathe underwater? I think for a couple hours or so, give or take. They can hold their breath pretty long. One fact I actually did not mention is these guys can live to be in their 80s. They can live very long in captivity. In the wild, probably 50 to 60, but in captivity, definitely up to their 80s. So these guys live very long. Yes. So their predators are mostly humans nowadays. Yes, unfortunately, that is true. When they're smaller, it's going to be all sorts of things can pick them up. Bigger mammals might try and get them. Snakes could get them out in the rainforest. What else could get them? Oh, birds of prey could get them. So when they're smaller, they're a little bit more vulnerable. But a 12 to 15 footer is not really going to have a predator other than a human. Maybe a really, really large snake out in the rainforest, but mostly just humans. One last question, yes. Well, sometimes that does happen, and that's just natural selection where the baby gets lost. Most of the time, though, they're going to cry for the mom, and the mom will hear it, and she'll go and find them. So most of the time, they do stick together in their clutch size. All right, perfect. So we have a couple more animals for you guys, so we're going to move on to the next one. She had asked if we've ever been bit. So far, not yet, but definitely it's very possible. Now this is a prehensile-tailed skink, also called monkey-tailed skink, and that is because they have a very special tail. Now their tail is a prehensile tail. Now what that means is they can use their tail as an extra appendage, so another arm or leg. So they can use their tail to wrap around a branch, making their arms and legs free to do whatever they want. Maybe grab onto some food or grab onto another branch. So it's almost like they have 2 arms and 3 legs almost. Now, Barrett here, his name is Barrett, he is all green. When Janine walks around, you might notice his eyes are also green. Pretty much everything about him is green. He eats green things, he's an herbivore. So that means he's gonna blend in the trees. Up high in those trees, that's where you're going to find him to camouflage, because of course there's lots of green in the rainforest up in the canopies. He is also arboreal, so that's going to mean he lives high up in those trees. Now Janine is wearing a glove because he has very sharp claws and very sharp teeth. Even though he's an herbivore, and herbivores only eat lots of plants, he pretty much eats a salad. Even though that's all he eats, he still has very sharp teeth, so we wear the glove to keep ourselves nice and safe. Now, one really cool fact about him makes him different than some of the reptiles. He is a reptile because skinks are in that family, but most reptiles lay eggs. Skinks, this type of skink, gives live birth. Now that is super unique. Now that live birth is very cool as well because they have one baby at a time, and that baby is the third the size of the mom. So the mom can probably be as big as my forearm, and the baby's going to be that third the size of that. So very unique for reptiles, the fact that these guys do live birth. All right, a couple questions about Barrett. Yes. So yeah, he might eat some dark green leaves, he'll eat light green leaves, he'll eat lettuce, he'll eat carrots, yam, broccoli, celery. Any of that veggies he's gonna love. That's mostly what he'll eat. Yes. So their predators are mostly going to be kind of the same things as the snakes out in the rainforest, bigger birds of prey. But again, these guys camouflage very well. He could sit up on a leaf and you probably wouldn't even notice him because he's so green. So a lot of the times these guys might not have any predators because they camouflage so well and they're so high up in the trees. A lot of the bigger animals, they can't climb up that high. There's too much foliage, too much greenery in the canopies, they can't see anything. So some predators might be birds of prey, and if they fall on the ground, of course, they're a little bit bit more vulnerable, not just because they're exposed on the ground, but most of the time pretty safe. Way in the back. All right, good boys, we're gonna be all super quiet really quick so I can hear him. Have them as a pet? That's a really good question. So the answer is yes. You can own these guys as pets, but do your research, just like any animal you guys might get as a pet. These guys do need a lot of care. They eat every single day, and they need a lot of space in their enclosure to climb. So they need lots of trees, not big trees, but lots of logs and things like that for them to climb on. And again, they eat every day. So definitely an animal, a little bit harder to take care of than maybe a dog or a cat. All right, one last question right here. So good question, how old is he? He's actually about 2 years old. He was born at our center, so his mom and dad live with him as well. All right, thank you boys and girls. I think we have one more. Yeah, one more animal for you guys. All right, yes, I know he's very cool, right? This is Zigzag. Now Zigzag is a red-tailed boa. If you notice, his tail is not red, but when they're babies, they kind of have a reddish tail. He will also blend in on the ground, just kind of like Skittles. He's got a lot of dark colors on his pattern, so it's going to help him blend in the dirt and the tree trunks and things like that. Now, he does a lot of the similar stuff that Skittles does. He smells with his tongue, he's got a fork in his tongue so he gets it all in 2 directions. Something that is really cool about him is he can eat something double the size of his body. So you can see he's pretty big around. He can eat something double that size. But if you look at his face, it is not too big around, but he can swallow something so big, pretty much whole, because of his jaw. So if you guys all touch your jaw, we have 1 jawbone. Snakes have 4 bones in their jaw. So their jaw pretty much detaches, and it's like a very stretchy rubber band, and that's how they're able to eat something super large. Now imagine all of us having a snake jaw. If our jaw was like a snake jaw, our jaw would reach our belly button, and we would be able to swallow a whole watermelon. Now if you guys ate a whole watermelon, do you think you'd be hungry the following day? No, right? You'd probably be full for a while. Same thing with snakes. They're gonna eat something super large, and they're not gonna be hungry for another week or so. So that happens with Zigzag. He eats once a week. He's never really hungry for maybe 5 to 6 more days after that. So very cool, and very similar to Skittles. Now you can also own these ones as pets, but they get very large, about 14-ish feet. So again, very cool. You get them when they're about this big around, very small, but they do get very large. They need a big enclosure, and they are carnivores, so they're going to be eating lots of rodents. So do your research before you get any type of reptile. Very cool reptile though. All right, I'll take a couple questions. Yes. His mouth can probably open double to triple his length from his jaw down, so it's pretty wide. I mean, I couldn't be able to show you unless he was eating, so we don't have food for him right now. But again, it detaches, so he's able to eat something double the size of that body. So he can stretch it pretty wide. Over here in the mid-tissue. They can get really large, right? And these guys are also constrictors. So they still wrap around their prey and they squeeze it. They do a lot of the same things right there. Do they have predators? Is that your question? So yes, these guys have predators as well. Mostly when they're smaller, like birds would go after these guys. When he's this big, he's not going to have too many predators. You know, he's pretty large, but maybe some gators might go after him, and humans, you know, might go after these guys as well, but not too many predators because of the size of it. One last question. So Zigzag is about 7 years old, I believe, and he was somebody's pet and they decided they couldn't take care of him anymore, so we get to take care of him. And he can probably live to be in his 20s-ish, maybe a little bit longer. All right, boys and girls, that is our last animal. I hope you guys really liked this presentation, learned a little bit about all the rainforest animals and why they're important to the environment. So thank you guys so much for being a great audience.
We